Welcome back to Wuhan, China, host of the 2017 World's Group Stage. Also, we have to give a warm welcome to G2's Mithy, who's joining us to support our analysis in their predictions, as that's what we're going to be doing in just a moment. Before we get there, Misfits Gaming and TSM prepare to hit the rift for the second time today in a fight TSM have to win if they want to make it out of the group. Now, one important duel in this game is between the mid laners, Bjergsen and Power of Evil, who had a close matchup when these teams last met.
I have to say that we've heard this story as well about Power of Evil being the kryptonite for TSM, which is something that started out as a meme. And when I first heard it coming to Worlds, I was like, well, they had like 2 IMs where they really split series, and it was 2 different teams as well. So I think I was grasping at straws a little bit. But if Misfits 2-0 TSM in the group stage, then that starts to lend a lot of credence actually to this story. So as you said, this is a must-win game for TSM if they want to get out of the groups, and it's a very, very high pressure situation.
I think even if they win, it still stays as a meme. Let's keep it there. But what's important here is that Bjergsen has, for the most part, been playing on playback champions, utility, making sure that he always has control on the mid lane, whereas we saw Power of Evil try to experiment a little bit more with that LeBlanc, and I think that the team that is going to have to take the emphasis in the early game will come out ahead, and I have a little bit more faith in Power of Evil doing so. He's already proven that he can do it, whereas Bjergsen, not so much.
Mithy, you've had the opportunity actually to play against both of these teams throughout this year, right? Rift Rivals against TSM, Misfits in your own region. What do you feel this mid lane matchup might hinge on between these 2 star players?
Well, I think TSM's mid jungle is a bit more aggressive than Misfits mid jungle, but Misfits mid jungle is very consistent, and Power of Evil's champion pool is an issue in Europe, but right now the way the meta is being played on and the way you can't really afford mid lane bans, you basically have a free game for Power of Evil to play the champions he's comfortable on, and I think that's really showing off this tournament.
A matchup that will definitely matter in the results of this game. It is do or die for TSM in this game, so I want to ask you guys who you think is going to come out on top. Mithy, you're in the hot seat. You subbed out for Frost, so you have to go first. Who's going to take it?
I'm going to go with TSM, judging on what I've seen in scrims and on stage. I think even though Misfits is very good and they have very similar style to what TSM has to offer, I think TSM really screwed up on the bot lane on the last game. I think Misfits bot lane is very aggressive and kind of put TSM's bot lane off guard, but I'm hoping that now that they're on a, basically with the backs against the wall, they're going to pull it off.
Well, you slotted in perfectly, because I did ask Frost before she left the desk who she would have predicted. She said TSM, because, and just because they got smashed by WE doesn't mean that they're entirely capable of bouncing back and mounting a big comeback here in this game.
Sure, they are not down for the count, absolutely, but Misfits in their game against TSM saw the same weakness that WE saw earlier today, decided to exploit it, and it worked well. There was a lot of blunders in that game. It was super close, and their dragon control was still abysmal. There was so many problems, but they still came out ahead. I think that they're going to do it again, so I'm going with Misfits taking this one and just sealing the deal on the group.
Honestly, on TSM's defense, I think WE just completely surprised them on their draft. The Caitlyn pick is a new thing we've never seen before. They first picked Janna. TSM was like, oh my god, Tristana and Kog'Maw banned, free Twitch Lulu game. We're going to carry this to the bot lane. And then, bam, Caitlyn, bam, get destroyed bot lane, lose every tower, lose the game. So, yeah, I think I would give more hope to TSM.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here, because people have also often talked about with TSM their inability to adapt within games and within Champion Select and stuff like that, and they've been caught off guards within games like that. However, now they've had
years of that.
Yeah, it's been years, and it's been true for a long time. But now that they've had at least a little bit of time to try and refocus, and as they said, like, everything hinges on this game for them. I do think that TSM are going to bounce back here, and I'm also going to predict TSM.
So we're pointing at some easy fixes for TSM, but it seems kind of crazy that we're calling Misfits the favorites in this matchup against the #1 seed from North America. As we send it to pastry time, and the guys, Biofrost tells us what's on the line for TSM here in week 2.
If we don't get out, all hell is going to rain on us from both. Well, yeah, all hell is going to rain. Because last year we didn't make it, and that was already bad enough. I can't imagine how it would be like if we didn't make it out this year. Yeah, I don't even want to think about it, actually. It's just going to tilt me.
Unfortunately, that is the potential
Not
reality
like this,
here for
dude.
Well, hello everyone, I'm Julian Page, two-time car, here with Zach, Rusty Pie, and Isaac Azale Cummings Bentley. Gentlemen, great to have you here on the caster desk, and we have a doozy of a matchup to start here. EU vs NA once again, and for almost all the marbles this time. For TSM, it is.
I mean, I'm certainly excited to be here with you guys, but I'm wedged between two North American casters, so I'll try my absolute hardest to do Misfits proud on the desk here. But this is a very important moment for both of these teams. You're absolutely right. Everything on the line for TSM.
I mean, Misfits as well, right? If they win here, they are through to the quarters. A team that people had going 0-6 in the group. A team that no one really gave a chance coming into this, that got obliterated in their first game on stage at Worlds, and has just seemed to get better and better and better throughout the group stage.
Well, we'll see what happens here in Champ Select. TSM on the blue side here for this one. Misfits over on the red. Oriana instantly banned away from PoE, and our customary Kalista ban from Misfits.
One of the things I'm really curious to see about is WE just ran Caitlyn 2 games in a row, just smashed 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
Does anyone try to make an on-the-fly adjustment and say, hey, we've played Caitlyn so much in the past, we can still run this strategy? And it would not be atypical for a team to try to make an adjustment like that, especially as Misfits with a game to give. If you think that you could win off of that sort of style, it could be huge, and we're already seeing a lot of AD carry bans.
It's definitely a possibility. The one place I might see it is towards TSM's side, simply because they have the first pick. They can lock in a Janna early. They don't have to show their hand usually. Misfits on the opposite side, never mind anyway, would show something different.
That is really surprising to me to actually see the Janna ban for TSM. I feel like you can force the red side to actually ban that Janna away, because Janna has been dominant at this tournament, well over 70% win rate. I am a little bit surprised to see that, but they could be going for something like an early J4, or perhaps feeling the Caitlyn coming, maybe even a first pick Caitlyn. I mean, no one would have been saying that earlier in the day.
I mean, there's just there's Lulu for Misfits. I think TSM just really want Rakan.
Yeah.
That's the champion I'm thinking, right? Biofrost was a player of the series in the final that TSM won to get to this world, so I think they just want something comfy. Certainly a lot available now, given how the draft is unfolded.
It would be very interesting. There's Xayah as an option as well. And I mean, if you take one, you kind of force the hand to grab the other. And if you feel you have an answer into that, it can make some sense. So if you grab Rakan here, you kind of force the Xayah, then you could theoretically be going for something like a Caitlyn and trying to do to Misfits what WE just did to Flash Wolves.
But there are so many other champions left up and available. You pick the Rakan, you know Xayah is going to go over to the other side, but you also have to look at the jungle pool and say, what are we going to pick with this? Jarvan just stands to attention as one of the strongest junglers running around on the Rift. Flash Wolves are the only team that have brought down those stats, unfortunately. Otherwise, he has been incredible.
He has been very strong, but there's still Gragas available. There's still things like a Rek'Sai if you want to go for some more early game pressure. The Twitch going to be locked in here for TSM. Definitely were not able to kind of get to the stage where they wanted to be against WE earlier in the day, and Sejuani also available. So it looks again like TSM is kind of leaning towards much more the late game teamfight style.
Yeah, and again, Misfits probably should feel enabled here to take not Ardent Sensor in this case. I mean, missing it maybe hurts a little, but something like a playmaker for Ignar, who is that kind of player, could be great.
And when you pick Rakan, there are champions that are very good without Ardent Sensor into it. Thresh is something Ignar plays. He loves Blitzcrank, but Alistar is one of the more conventional options. He can still play to counter
Hey!
Okay, already I feel like you have to know what Misfits' game plan is. You have a very aggressive bot lane. You have a jungler who can put pressure there as well. To me, as Misfits, banning out something like a Shen would be very, very smart, because you don't want to allow TSM the opportunity to actually, go down to the bot lane, unless Misfits would like to take something like that Shen for themselves and really over-index on going bot side, because you could very easily be setting yourselves up for these 5-man bot style plays, try to put the Twitch behind, and try to snowball the game.
Well, you can see LeBlanc ban for Misfits, but have to love the blitz there from MSG here. I mean, this is the team that plays this champion the most of any team, and Ignar has shown off on the pick, especially in Misfits' playoff run.
And I mean, they won earlier in the day already with a Thresh. They did not have the most early game success with that, but later in the game, Ignar came up huge, finding a lot of plays, and Blitzcrank certainly is terrifying for someone like a Twitch to play into.
I do like the Shen ban here from TSM when you've got a Twitch on your side. It can potentially be a game changer, but the Twitch Rakan lane is just super risky in the first place, and I really do challenge that bottom lane 2v2. They have to perform, and it's under really strenuous circumstances, as Misfits have the upper hand here in the 2v2, just being aggressive early, and then you look more at junglers above all else. My expectation is that the Sejuani that Svenskaren's already locked in will probably hover around that area of the map.
Yeah, I think he certainly has to do a good job at least tracking Maxlor. You know, you don't necessarily have to be making those ganks happen yourself, but you have to allow your team the ability to anticipate the ganks, to be able to follow Jarvan around in his jungle, get warding, contest scuttles to keep them safe, because in the 2v2 they may have a hope of staying alive, but if Jarvan gets down there and Blitz lands a hook, Twitch is probably going to die.
Well, there's Gallia for Misfits and Syndra banned by TSM, so kind of curious to see what Misfits want to take here to reveal one of their solo laners. I think TSM, if they want to be proactive towards that bot lane, you're going to need some faster solo laners here.
Well, something like a Talia is still on the table. We'll see if they're going to be willing to actually take that. You know, the banning out of the Syndra does kind of help you be able to pick that champion. Ryze is locked in for PoE.
Yeah, and with the Ryze, of course, you can respond with something like a Corki if you want
Or
to
even
roam, just
Cassio.
like Talia. Yeah, Cassio is very good, as long as you can build that magic resistance, and there's a chance that both of them have Abyssal Masks, actually, as mid laners.
Yeah, it's certainly both of them probably going for a tier into Abyssal Mask if we do see that matchup, but it is traditionally considered a lane advantage matchup for the Cassiopeia. We know how good Bjergsen is. In a must-win game, Bjergsen is the kind of guy that wants the pressure to carry the game. He wants to take over, and Haunter as well. I mean, he's shown to be so strong on the Gnar that could be another lane dominant pick, a way to try to push in your opponents and perhaps keep them there.
Well, see what TSM do want to settle. It looks like they're having a bit of fun, but Gnar is the lock in there for TSM. Haunter already had such an incredible Gnar game.
Now, it is expected to be a blind pick Gnar here as well. There's not a lot of things that you can pick to just outright destroy a Gnar. There is perhaps a Yasuo or a Relia if you're going to be crazy with your picks. I doubt that, but Alfari is a crazy person. I'm sure he could.
I think we're going to see just simply a Cho'Gath or a Maokai, something along those lines. I think makes quite a bit of sense, and it's something that can actually survive those matchups. You know, Maokai especially, I think, does handle it well.
Oh, wow. I am destroying this with them. They're the best. Misfits are my favorites.
Okay, this is very high risk, high reward. Yasuo is considered a lane counter to the Gnar. You can dash through the minions, you can get on the mini Gnar, you can actually take him down, but you have to play it very aggressively. They do have jungle advantage, so now Maxlor has all these different lanes he can pressure, and Misfits are really risking it all on this pick.
Yeah. It just had to be us, didn't it? Fun fact for everyone at home. Rusty, you have cost 100% of Yasuo games at this World, including
Yasuo,
playing.
100% win rate at Worlds.
Not quite. No.
Yeah, not including playing.
In groups.
In groups, yes, as we did see it from Perks yesterday, but very bold from Misfits in a very important game for them. Yes, they've got some wiggle room, but if they win, they're in. They really wanted to take it here.
I actually feel like this puts so much pressure onto Svenskeren, because now not only does he have to protect the bot lane, he has to be around topside, guarding Haunter against any early all-ins from the Yasuo, guarding him against the Jarvan ganks as well. Even the mid lane, you can gank a Cassio with the Ryze assistance, so much pressure, I feel like, is on Svenskeren's shoulders.
Well, here we are out into Summoner's Rift for another bout of NA versus EU, and it could not come at a more critical time for both these regions. Fnatic, a miracle qualification there on the first day of week 2 of groups, and now TSM and MSF battling it out.
And you have to love the innovation coming out of Misfits. You know, with everything on the line in this group for them, they are the underdogs, and they're actually looking to set something up here. Blitzcrank.
Whoa! Oh. That's a bit of a wicked early start from Misfits here. That is one thing that you'll have to talk about with Misfits, though, is that the Blitzcrank's a good example of this. Flashing early, it's high risk. Everything they've got is high risk. But there is high reward. There's also a high variance that it could go incredibly poorly. And that is one step perhaps not in the right direction for the bottom lane, but really good for the jungle.
Yeah, I would call completely worth on that for Ignar. You actually just forced out the Cassiopeia's flash. That was the one lane that was maybe supposed to win for TSM. Now Bjergsen will have to play very very defensively. He has to worry about a level 2 Jarvan gank. He has to worry about a level 3 Jarvan gank, a level 4 Jarvan gank. He basically cannot now play this lane the way it was supposed to be played. So Misfits have essentially now 3 winning lanes across the map with the Yasuo in an isolated 1v1, with the pressure onto this Twitch, and now with Bjergsen forced into defensive play in the early game.
It's nice to have with a Mana Crystal start for Power of Evil as well. Perhaps not being bullied out near as much by Bjergsen if he plays more passively, more back, means an earlier tier recall is always a possibility for this Rise. Big scope now on the middle lane, big spotlight there on will junglers have any kind of say in this. Maxlaw started red,
Level
makes
2.
a lot of sense to try and pressure, but a good ward.
Yeah, really good word from TSM. Maxlaw dipping mid, but not going to find too much.
Yeah, and Bjergsen does give away that it was warded playing that far to the bot side, but he has to because he doesn't have his flash. He needs to show that respect, and Svenskeren going to be under pressure here now as well.
Yep, Invade's still good. Maxwell steals 1, going to make it 2.
Critically,
takes down
though,
the camp.
he did get the big wolf, so it's not going to be a disaster. Either way, though, Bjergsen definitely going to have to be playing very, very carefully, and you can see he's having to sit back, having to give up quite a lot.
Only just dings level 2. Hook is good. Firefrost dances out of the way, but the root is there. Ignite also down. Hansama flashes him, but the heal might save him. Just barely.
Hansama tries to flash at the correct time to just one-hit the Rakan, but good reaction on the heal. Maxlaw also working around the jungle. They are keeping tabs on TSM endlessly.
This early game from Misfits is just insane. They're putting on so much pressure. Look at Doublelift. He's already being zoned off the turret, and Sven could be in trouble.
Ben splashes out, but still trouble here. Damage actually onto Maxlaw, but he's almost maybe 3. Depending how much of the camp he takes down. Still damage back from Doublelift.
The problem is Doublelift is zoned off all this experience. They're losing the entire minion wave. They're actually losing so much from here. They're going for Doublelift.
Good
He's here.
but there's the snare coming down. Bifrost needs to move back in and try and save. That's off of the shield, but he gets hooked up by Igna. Power of Evil still chasing in, and Bifrost not going to make it. That's first blood.
They just get first blood for Misfits in between 2 turrets in the bottom lane. This early aggression is starting to bear fruit.
I mean, this is a disaster start for TSM. Haunts are getting bullied out in the top lane. Doublelift is going to lose so much experience. There's a world where he comes back into lane against a level 4 Hansama. Svenskeren is losing his entire jungle. He lost the Krugs. He just lost the red buff. And this is looking very, very bad as far as starts go for TSM, and just what a commitment to the bot side of the map here early on for Misfits, showing no fear whatsoever.
Yeah, the biggest surprise is that Power of Evil was walking down here through the middle lane. This hook from Ignar as Bifrost goes to dash, cancels his last way out to safety. They will get themselves a kill. Ignar is on fire right now.
And again, we talked about Misfits picking very aggressive, forcing TSM into this 3 losing lane situation. We talked about being high risk, high reward. Well, they took the risk and the reward was beautiful.
Certainly was, and now it's a question for TSM. Can you stabilize? Can you withstand the storm? Because TSM does have very powerful team fighting, does have incredible scaling. They have a lot of ways to win this game, but as with the game earlier against WE, it's okay to lose a little bit at the start, but you cannot continually lose more and more and more. You need to be able to hold your ground, stabilize these lanes, and farm out the waves.
And one concern that currently exists, as we do look at the bottom lane, that is a concern, is the middle lane, where Bjergsen's itemization from the recall, he was forced into something just less than the tier. This usually indicates if you're playing against that item build, he has to recall. You want to have a very efficient tier purchase, and now he's stuck with awkward items, and Power of Evil can control the middle lane by having the item purchase. Maxlaw in the jungle having control can then utilize his Rise to push further in, maybe look for better opportunities, and is currently in the process of trying to do so.
Maxwell going to take out this ward, not done as Alfari, dashing onto Haunter. Haunter fighting back, good wallop as he transforms.
Yeah, really nice trade there from Haunter, and good patience to not go forward. He knows that Maxlaw is around, so he's going to have to play respectfully, and I expect Haunter to itemize pretty defensively. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Tabby's rush from this position. I think it's so effective, especially when it's a Jarvan as well as that Yasuo, and you have to give respect to the fact that you can get all in mini nod.
Certainly a nod, though, to the overall metagame shift we've slowly seen happen here in week 2 of groups. Again, everyone's playing slow. Well, generally the answer is to speed up the game, and there's always going to be a balance, and Misfits certainly looking to go very fast, very quickly.
And it is a fine line, right? You can try to play somewhat slow, but as players get greedier and greedier and greedier with gold runes and with, you know, coin rushes and ardent sensor rushes, and they're trying to go full scaling across the map, you can do a 180 and go full early game and try to punish, and that is what we've seen in the early stages of these games today, and it has been working very, very well.
Tough there for Sven though, does pop down using the blast cone, but control ward and a blitzcrank means that he has to back off immediately. Can't even finish off the ward with bot lane still being pressured. Alfari continuing to push things in the top lane and roam down. TSM have decent defensive vision set up so far, but as you can see, just based on where the character portraits are on the minimap, Misfits are the ones with all that forward pressure.
Yeah, they are. We're starting to find a point in the game where things will generally slow down until level 6s come across, but the one thing you are looking towards from Misfits, even from just that one ward that was placed, is going towards the enemy red buff on the second spawn, towards the enemy blue buff on the second spawn as well. Maxlor is putting all of his effort towards finding and keeping Svenskeren down, and it's starting to pay off right now with this inside track towards the blue buff completely unstopped.
And I think it's so incredibly smart, as we actually see a fight in the bot lane.
Double knock up there, Hansama getting knocked back, but Ignite she's going to move forward. Ignite is down, barrier pop by double it, Hansama still trying to get away. TSM actually getting a nice end on that trade.
Yeah, well played there by TSM. They do actually use the extra summoner though, so I still would say it's probably in Misfits' advantage unless TSM can get something here.
Hook finds Firefrost. Oh, trying to get away, but he gets power fisted. Firefrost back in as Han summons the target. Gleaming Quill lands.
Gotta
a bit
be
of extra
careful.
heal. Double it. Still going. He wants it, but maybe too much. Doesn't overcommit.
Doesn't have the mana perhaps to
Oh,
expunge.
PoE is 6 and he is coming down, so TSM now under pressure. They're gonna have to get out. We'll see if they can back off.
Yeah, they kind of know now. The hook. Oh, great flash from Bifrost. Hansama's still low, but TSM needs to kind of get out of this one. Bifrost forced to flash away. There's the root in onto double. If that dive is good, shield not enough, and Power of Evil picks it up.
They don't get the second kill on a Bifrost, barely alive. Everyone is coming down right now from TSM.
Bjergsen has flash, he has ultimate, he can look for multiple kills here. Let's see if he goes for it.
Tags one onto Ignite, but it's so dangerous. Insta-cleanse by PoE.
He just got rooted in place by Power of Evil when I think Bjergsen was going to try and flash ult them. He didn't get it off.
Yeah, Bjergsen, it seemed like he was not sure if he wanted to actually flash in immediately there. Wasn't confident. If he flashes forward, gets CC'd, he could get taken out, so he wanted to slow play it a little bit more, and PoE shuts the play down. No return kills for TSM.
All right, well, here comes level 7 Yasuo versus Minina. Always favorable as the poor Boomerang just drives into the win wall. Maxlor again continuing to stay aggressive. Looks like jungle XP is stabilized a little bit, but Sven gonna dive back in. Double trying to ambush play here. Stun does land. Maxwell buffers out. Ignar still here, and TSM again. Just have to respect the power of Blitzcrank.
I mean, the biggest problem is really experience. When you look at Doublelift, he's a level 4 Twitch up against a level 6 Hansama now. How do you actually go into that lane and expect to not die? It becomes so difficult, and that is why you see Doublelift kind of walking around the jungle, waiting for the lanes to be pushed in, but this gives over more and more priority to Misfits, who are time and time again invading, and they're looking for a kill.
Too bad, goes back in. The pull is good. Maxwell able to take it down. Bjerg here, but he's got no ultis. Maxwell ultis down and onto Bifrost. He dances back out to Bjergsen, and he'll be okay.
Ignar's a machine right now. These hooks, the awareness, not actually throwing the hook out until he power fists Sejuani.
Oh,
double
Double's
lift.
gonna get dove. He has no summoners down here. I don't know if there's any way out at all.
Once he's got TP, but so does Alfari.
He's the only way out.
Ooh, he's trying to creep out.
No,
Ward.
it's not.
Yep, now spotted Hansama, just gonna chase him out and double lift.
He's gone.
Yep, just gonna have to try and maybe not give over too many assists, but doesn't even have time for that. He stands, he fights, but Igno hooks him, and there's a kill for Hansama.
They make sure Hansama gets it as well with the E, so they get another kill for Misfits in the bottom lane. 4-0ing kills. There hasn't been turrets taken down. It's just a kill-focused game from Misfits, but it's starting to bleed over into those structures and just the damage they're putting down onto them slowly but assuredly.
And Misfits have just played a wonderful early game here. The ability to actually invade so heavily with Maxlor non-stop pressuring Svenskeren. He has level advantages. They have level advantages in the bot lane. And they're just bleeding this pressure over from the lanes into the jungle, making it so hard for Sven.
Level 6 now for Sven. Could be a 2v2 here in mid. Power of Evil warping
Ignar's
over.
on the way, though.
Oh, good little miasma there. Prevents Rice from moving, I think, and Sven does dip away.
Yeah, they ground him first, so Power of Evil's not able to come in. Ignar is also nearby. Misfits were looking to counter that play very nicely.
And here's the invade again, going right back to the red buff. They know that they have bot lane priority, they have mid lane priority. They're going right in. Svenskeren flashes over the wall, and Ignar pulling him right back in. Gets the red buff here too.
He's just so good at League of Legends. Double lift now. He thought he was safe. This is it. And there's a ward that's no longer it, and everyone has to run through the turret, of course, to try and help get the kill. Twitch, in the end, will die. Double lift well out of position. It's not the first time it's happened this game, unfortunately, for TSM's bottom lane.
As we go back to live, we have seen it's a very defensive build from Honster. Giant Spell, Ninja Tabbies, he's trying to actually survive in that matchup. And the lane swap has been called by TSM, but it's accepting they are going to give up the first turret in the bot side, and that's an over 3,000 gold lead at 11 minutes now given over to Misfits, and that is just so much. TSM needs to start getting something back, or this game, I think, is out of control.
Just committed to top lane now, going to at least try and get a swap. Alfari playing back very respectfully as TSM do look to make their way up. Sven is still around, but PoE going to take a bit of downtime, grab the blue buff as Maxlaw able to facilitate that donation. And TSM going to be slow to try and take these down, but at this point, you cannot fight the Misfits bot lane.
I mean, the problem is the lane swap, they don't have enough damage to actually get this turret down whatsoever, so Misfits can just come back up and match, and then TSM is in that 2v2 once again without item completions, without the gold from that turret as well. So when you look over at the gold in the bot lane, it's such a big early advantage. You know, over 1,200 gold ahead for Hansama at this early stages is enormous. That's an extra BF sword, essentially.
Yeah, for me, a lot of this from TSM, and this is why I like the decision, is they're waiting to get those item spikes before they commit to the 2v2. So yes, Misfits can come up here and start pushing, and they likely will, but TSM are going to dodge them until they have the Runon's Hurricane completed with the Ardent Setzer. Their structure damage is very low because neither of those are completed. Even when you have a Hurricane, no damage to structures.
And the question simply becomes, can you actually hold on to enough? You know, are you going to bleed out too many objectives? Because dodging them works great as long as you're trading. But for now, TSM is not trading. They're just bleeding out objectives. They did not get the top lane turret when they went top. Now they're going back bot, but Doublet is not about to take the bot lane turret by himself, and this is going to be a 2-0 turret lead. This is going to be closing out an over 4,000 gold lead for Misfits very early on.
Flush from Alfari. A little too eager, perhaps. He's down towards the bot lane, but there's the second turret open to Misfits. And of course, the counterpoint to that question is, I mean, if TSM, can they hold on? Well, the question is, can Misfits continue their aggression and the snowball? TSM trying to trade something down here on the Infernal Drake. Looks like they will get it, but Misfits, again, the map is theirs to play with at this stage.
It certainly is, and TSM doing their best to get something back here at least. They do grab an Infernal. Misfits trading for that Rift Herald. They're going to try to knock down the last outer turret, really completely take over TSM's jungle, and that's where things will get very bad for TSM. If Svenskeren cannot farm, if they cannot pick up these extra jungle camps, the experience disadvantages get so enormous. So TSM needs to start knocking down outers of their own.
Yeah, it's an okay trade from TSM in the current moment. The next Drake is also an Infernal, so there's a world where TSM can get 2 of those and be pretty happy. But right now, the Rift Herald could be very worthwhile if it breaks the mid lane outer structure, completely opens up the map, and we're getting to 14 minutes, closer and closer to a 20-minute point in the game. If the mid lane outer is gone, then they can get to the Baron significantly easier.
Yeah, and how do you ever challenge for that second Infernal with no outer turrets, with a massive gold disadvantage? You know, the Essence Reaver already completed here for Hansama. He's going to be so much stronger with the additional 2 levels and this first power spike than Doublelift is. You know, Doublelift needs at least the IE really before he becomes a big threat, and Hansama is going to be at 2 items so much faster unless they find a way to start knocking down turrets and getting Doublelift kills. But that's all going to start through the vision game, through TSM trying to take over their jungle. But right now, Misfits have full control.
Ooh, it does ward Sven, not going to get hooked. But again, Misfits continue to hold supreme reign here in the bot side as far as vision goes, moving back around and again, all around to mid lane, hoping somebody pokes through.
And it's flanking with the Blitzcrank, so they could summon the Rift Herald now, but you look at the vision they've set up near the Blitzcrank, means they can very easily hook or engage from over the wall and prevent TSM from getting in.
TSM does have 5 members here, though, and Alfari is top, so TSM may be looking for a fight.
Going for it there, PoE though, cleanses off the Sedge. Haunter not enough rage right now, so instead they take down the Rift Herald. A good collapse, but no fight forthcoming.
Yeah, in the end it was just a really good hold from TSM, but with the amount of people and the amount of effort they had to put into defending that mid lane outer structure, damage is starting to be done elsewhere on the Rift. Nothing will die outright for Misfits, but it's a good start for them to continue and knock them down later.
Yeah, and the question is just, what do you do as Svenskeren in this game now? How does he ever get control over his jungle? And Max or Ignar, they're all going for Bjergsen.
Aggression on the Bjergsen. Maxwell maybe a little too far. The TP for Haunter. Bjerg does get the kill. Rakan went down on the other side and Doublelift.
Oh, here's Haunter. He has Mega.
Power of Evil's going to be the target. Hops up Sven there. Good flash from PoE.
Gets
gonna
himself
have to
out.
flash out to safety at the last second. Power of Evil will live. TSM actually fight back.
Yeah, they do get the 1-for-1 trade, but I still say advantage over to Misfits because Alfari canceled his teleport. The cooldown's going to be up sooner. He denies some of the experience by crashing that wave as well, meaning Haunter is going to have it pushing out away from him one more time. And
Sven smites it away. I hope that was intentional from Ignal, hooking the Krug instead of Svenskeren.
Definitely intentionally. He was eyes on the prize. He wanted that extra 70 gold. More denying it from Svenskeren, of course.
key, though, for Bjergsen to grab a kill here. We know that Cassio can take over these team fights. And here it is one more time. Maxlor looking to actually go in for Bjergsen, but the follow-up damage was not really there. You can see Hansama over to the right side. Power of Evil never really gets access. So Maxlor is not actually that tanky yet. But thankfully, Ignar and Hansama are able to trade back and at least take down Biofrost.
The thing with Misfits' team composition is Jarvan feels a little bit disjointed when you contrast it to the rest of the comp. Yasuo is the one big thing that it will work with, but he's not going to be there in a fight like that. What you're looking at is a Ryze, a Blitzcrank, and a Xayah that are very good at hooking people towards you and kiting from your position. Maxwell is the only one that can go forwards in that instance and just puts himself up creek without a paddle. He's not going to be able to get out.
Yeah, and I mean, I think as with everything else in this comp, the hope is a snowball, right? The hope is to get into the side lane, find kills, take over pressure in the jungle, because if you do stabilize, if the gold lead is in the same in 10 minutes, in 15 minutes, then this becomes very hard to team fight with for Misfits.
Well, we'll see how it develops. Infernal up in a minute 50, so kind of our next tension point mounting here in the mid game. Misfits still holding a very strong lead, and TSM just have to play defensive. No turrets that they can really easily take out without a big team fight win, and at this stage, Misfits will not give them that.
Yeah, I feel like TSM have no business going for the next Infernal Dragon. They have to give it up, but they are moving Haunter down. Misfits probably going to knock down this turret. It's very low.
Going for Ignar perhaps, but not enough. Oh, Rakan into the backline. They need to get the ult down. Damage is okay. Root there in on
no flash.
Back with a kill.
Bjergsen backside.
Across mouth for Bjergsen. He's trying to take a little bit more. Maxwell dies in the front, and Bjergsen grabbed the double 3 on Misfits. Dead already, and Ignar, he's going to be the next one. Make it a 4.
TSM punish Misfits as they group up. The ultimates landed there by Svenskeren. Biofrost follows up with the combo, and they battle back. This could even unlock the Infernal perhaps as they can fight for Vision. Such a critical team fight win for TSM. I feel like if they lose that, Worlds is over.
Yeah, very important moment for TSM. They needed to win a team fight just to even look at a structure on the map, and they get both. They get the team fight, they get the structure, and a lot of this is because TSM initiate the fight. They engage, they go forwards. Note, this is without a Mega Gnar as well. Bio is just engaging so well.
Yeah, I think very intelligent also from Svenskeren, targeting Ignar, denying that Blitzcrank from actually doing anything in the fight, and then Bjergsen has the flash, knows that PoE expended his flash to escape the last fight, goes in confidently, finds those 3 men in his ultimate, and claws the game back a little bit closer for TSM.
And super cheeky bait from Svenskeren as well, throwing out his ultimate next to the Yasuo, not on him.
Still fighting. Haunter building up rage. Sven maybe caught Ignar. He's down. TSM continuing to answer back.
The Infernal is now spawning. Alfari is topside. Haunter's already here with Mega. This could be a free second Infernal for TSM, and Misfits really kind of coming apart at the scenes in these last few minutes. They had such incredible early game advantages, but if it comes to the late game 5v5s, TSM will have the edge.
Yeah, continuously getting picked off here. 20 seconds till a Baron as well, with a decent comp to look towards that. Whenever there's a Cassiopeia there, one more team fight is all it really takes for TSM to be in the driver's seat, have momentum, start to push forwards, because from this point, you would say it's almost just effectively reset.
Yeah, really, with this gold lead now, 20 minutes when you add in double Infernal and the gold lead shrinking as much as it has, as well as scaling and teamfight compositions, it really does feel like a very even game, and it's going to be on Misfits to continue to be proactive. They can't now go back into their shell and say, oh no, we lost a couple of teamfights, let's split the map. You need to be aggressive. You need to posture forward. Attack TSM with vision. Find picks, or this comp will not work.
Well, TSM arrest control back in the game for now. Misfits certainly still in it as far as being able to take their picks and go, but it is going to get tougher as we do have a look at the NALCS Week 2 record.
Ooh, that's unlucky.
Not been great historically, but TSM could grant NA their first win of this week in 2017. So anything is possible.
Yeah, anything is possible. Even a win in Week 2 for NA. And to be fair, Cloud9 got a win last year in Week 2, and they got to the quarterfinals.
Everyone gets one, Azale.
We'll see just how many more though.
As long as we get one.
TSM is, as you can see though, playing up much more now as a unit. They know their 5v5 is stronger. They feel confident trying to take some of these engages.
And I will say, still for TSM, they're trying to be in recope mode for double lift. And Ignar could be kind of caught out here.
Kind of a 4v3 PoE stuck on the flank hook, not going to land. But Haunts are not there, can TP down, but doesn't want to make it in.
The fight resets, but for double, if you really want to get him to his IE, this is Hansama on 2 items, and once Twitch has the Infinity Edge, he really does turn online in these team fights. He can take over, despite the fact that there is frontline threat and there is the wind wall and some of these things that disrupt him. The Infinity Edge is the critical item. So once TSM has that, I feel like unless something else major has happened in the meantime, they will be confident to take a 5v5 fight.
And he is super far behind, even just in CS, 3-1 in turrets. You would say the advantage is still absolutely there with Hansama. When you contrast this with Hansama's items as well, not only are we waiting for the Infinity Edge for double lift, we have 2 items for the Xayah. Top lane's got 2 items as a Yasuo as well. That's 100% crit this time around. It's not the perks build. He's going to be doing a lot of damage.
And that's kind of the other threat we haven't considered. I mean, Misfits, we know that 5v5 mid to late isn't going to be great for them, especially if the game is even, but they certainly have avenues with Ryze globally moving around, and with Alphari split pushing all game long. They might not win a 5v5 team fight, but they don't want to win this way.
And I'd even say, even if it does get to that 5v5 late game fight, yes, it is TSM advantage, but no, it is not impossible for Misfits to find a win. If you find a knockup on a Twitch or on the Cassia when you instantly kill them at the start of the fight, well, the 5v5 team fight advantage is out the window, right? So they're going to be looking for that pick, for that hook, or for that massive engage, and if they can find it, it could be game-changing.
Once getting chased down a touch here. Tornado not good. Almost though from Alphari. He's been displaying pretty good amount on the Yasuo so far.
But really good respect from Misfits. You actually saw a danger ping on the tri-bush where double lift was. They had no vision. They knew something was fishy, and so they chose to back away, be very careful, and they're starting to look towards taking those trades in the 1v1. This is acknowledgement that Alphari is strong, and that Maxlor is at least hanging around to place some wards down and protect the Yasuo, so they can try and empower that further. Let him push in. The bottom lane inner turret is also quite low. There is a world where pressure starts to mount the rest of the map because of this.
I also do have to give a little bit of credit to Haunter, who has played this matchup very even, who built respectfully, very defensive early on, rushing a giant spell to ninja tabbies, and he's in a position where he's now at least able to kind of hold Alphari even. He's not disrespecting the pick. He knows how badly it can go if you get behind the Yasuo.
Certainly been, again, good defensive play from TSM after such a strong early game from Misfits, but we've been talking up the Twitch all kind of for the last 23 minutes, and double lift, he has arrived at Infinity Edge now. So that doesn't mean that it's time to go instantly, but this is kind of the platform that TSM can use to push themselves later and later.
And I would say they have the option to go. It's more about that than feeling like you must go now. Yeah. Because for TSM, the longer the game goes, the happier you are. I think that a Blitzcrank in a 60-minute game, while you have the ability to get a hook, and that changes the game, more often than not, the only option is the hook of Sejuani or something, which is really going to be so much less effective on average than the effectiveness of a Rakan and of a Twitch of these sorts of things.
More face checks here from Spam, but TSM might be okay with this. Maxo going to get stunned on.
Frost coming in.
There's a great recombo there. Bjerg's actually going to stun up Maxo and double it. Now unleashing Featherstorm. Not too bad, but Power Reaver can't quite get in. Alphari now trapped and grounded. Forced to flash out of the way.
He could go here.
All right, Haunter back into Alphari. Frozen Mallet. Yasuo will not get away. And TSM find 2.
They could actually just start up the Baron straight up. I mean, this is a Cassiopeia team. They are going to look to rush this, force Misfits to come back to them, but with 2 members down, this should be a TSM free Baron.
It should be completely free. The jungler is gone. There's no real chance to get in there. At the very least, they'll try and throw a Q, trying their hardest.
Power of Evil. We're okay. 1 Q goes in and the smite goes down. TSM secure the Baron and even up the game. Look at that gold.
And this is now heavily in TSM's advantage. With the Baron buff in their favor, with the gold evened up, with double Infernal and the composition that TSM have, they have found what they needed to do. They have withstood the incredible early game that Misfits has put forth. And here it is, Bjergsen coming over. Look at Maxlor taking so much damage. The combo in the backline from Biofrost allows double the time to open up. Haunter comes in, and Alphari, really not able to get anything done here. Is a solo Yasuo in that fight.
Yeah, knows he's going to die, so dashes forward, protects the rest of the team perhaps, and there was no Mega now to follow from Haunter. Misfits just backed it up and said, all right, you win this fight, we'll let you have this day. But TSM getting that one battle, now set up for a following battle. They've got the Baron buff. Split pushing's impossible to do for a Yasuo now. Backs against the wall for Misfits.
And what a better player to empower for TSM than Bjergsen. We've talked so much about TSM. Maybe weren't playing quite to potential there in week 1, but if you need a kind of a comeback game to give you momentum, it is a game like this where you are down, but then your star picks it right back up.
And this is a guy who any criticism levied towards him is about international play. When people talk about Bjergsen, when they talk, why is Bjergsen not a legend? Well, what has he done internationally? What has he done for North America at Worlds? And so far, not much has been the answer. Bjergsen, though, is looking to change that. That has been TSM's focus for so long, and the first step towards potentially getting out of this group and doing more is a win against Misfits. So we'll see if they can stand up to the playmaking that Misfits has put forth.
And a clear love. Maybe. We'll have to see, I suppose, as
Clear love has done more.
as the rest of the event shakes out. But TSM, after evening the game back up with the Baron, are now trying to get an advantage with their scaling comp. Looks like this turret's going to go down even finally in turrets as they knock down the bot tier 2, and still a minute 30 left of Baron to work with.
I really love what Misfits has put forth for us this tournament, though. The fact that they are willing to actually break the meta, that they are being successful with it. Their Thresh game earlier, the Blitz game now, Yasuo as a countertop. These are things that other teams are simply not doing, and they made it look so damn good for the early stages of this game. And now it's going to be, again, confidence in their playmaking. We'll see if Ignar can come up big. Can he find the hook on Doublelift? Can he find that hook on Bjergsen to turn around the game?
We're getting closer and closer to that. We need a miracle hook type of stage in the game, that 50-minute lease-in kick type of scenario. But even then, if you're hooking someone, it can't be Svenskeren. You're going to have a very hard time on that.
Good pick attempt. Realm Warp in from PoE, but the flush out from Cassio will protect Bjergsen. TSM just trying to take this outer turret and probably get out.
Still, critical that they did force the Cassio's flash. We have to remember you can enable the Yasuo ultimate with an EQ from Jarvan, followed by the flash, land that instant knock-up onto Cassio, ultimate comes in. If you can hit that sort of combo, you can delete Bjergsen. You can turn around and fight, and that's the sort of stuff that they're going to need.
Other thing as well is TSM might be overstaying their welcome for this siege. Doublelift is still behind in gold from Hans Sama and has 2,600 gold in the bank. So TSM, they want the turrets, but they need to take them safely.
Yeah, they've seriously won in the turret game, however, at this stage. Nothing the Misfits have done so far. It's going to be a 6th turret that goes down. And so Misfits, yes, their AD carry may be ahead, but look at what the AD carry is staring down the barrel of, and that is a Sejuani Mega. Twitch outranges as well. Bjergsen can lock him down. And Biofrost with a flash up, easy engages.
And Doublelift just bought a straight-up static shiv here. So Twitch Online at 3 items, extremely powerful. You'd also say that there's kind of the luxury that he doesn't have to build as early of a Last Whisper as Hans Sama does, because you already have much more defensive itemization, across the board here for TSM. This is a Yasuo top. You don't really need to worry about his defenses in the early stages. And likewise, Maxlor itemized more towards magic resist than the physical damage. So Doublelift is in a position now with these items and with the items on the opponents where he can completely take over a team fight.
Yeah, we had a point in the game where Bjergsen was doing so much work, they itemized against him, and suddenly Doublelift is now super relevant. Of course, Twitch scaling, always good.
Nice wind wall.
Very good wind wall.
Crisp from Alfara as he starts to follow up from TSM, but again, still pushing through the jungle, trying to get traction, using their turret advantage now and taking over the map. These are all the things that we know are good from TSM when they get ahead. Their campaign to get ahead at Worlds has been a little shaky, to be fair, but this is a team that played through some deficits, as you can see.
A lot shaky, let's be honest here. TSM has been struggling in the early game, which is kind of interesting to when you think back to last year at Worlds. So much of the talk of TSM was they're the best snowballing team statistically. They have this powerful early game, and they crush through games very, very fast. And TSM this year has been much more about, can we get that dominant late game? Can we fix our macro stage of the game? And it feels like they've almost over-indexed on that to where they have this fantastic late game now, but if you can't get there, it doesn't really matter.
The beauty of this game for TSM against Misfits is you're against the side that is really good early. Not just the composition, but Misfits are usually very good when they get a lead. In this game, though, TSM have been able to bring it back from a 5k deficit, get towards the team fighting stages.
Oh no, Doublelift caught out. A great chain CC, and Power of Evil collects it.
Hey, you talk about those picks that can get Misfits in there. They're going to be pushing up mid lane here, trying to create a little bit of pressure. They don't have the minion wave just yet, and it was a couple flashes expended to get the kill, but still, that buys Misfits some time. A nice pick from them.
Well, again, key objectives spawning in a minute and 10 or so. Doublelift will be dead for 25 more seconds, but will be alive to see those objectives through. But we are really getting to a critically tense point in this game. Misfits, despite being behind, are certainly not out of this game.
You also have to feel like Alfari needs to kind of get more in a side lane for this Yasuo pick to have really paid off. And here it is once again, Realm Warp enabling it. Ignar flying in and full commitment to actually get that kill.
Nowhere to go, Double Lift. He was mid lane, he was trying to farm those minions. He went full reckless in a middle lane instead.
I actually do like the use of everything there. When you're behind, you can't afford to kind of half-ass one of these picks. You need to fully commit to it and make sure you get the kill. If you save an ultimate, save a flash, and they get away, can mean disaster.
Well, again, big objectives spawning. Infernal and Baron will spawn pretty much in tandem here at this juncture. Looks like TSM currently positioned left of the map towards the Baron pit. And given they've got 2 Infernals on the cloud already, I think this is the big ticket objective.
Well, and the third Infernal spawning in 17 seconds, there may be a reason to go down there and just try and sneak that one away. You could put Bjergsen by himself if he has a blue, Double Lift if he wants to sneak down there, invisible into the pit as well. They could try and take that.
I mean, triple Infernal, Cassio, and Twitch with the itemization that they now have is terrifying. So we'll see what TSM is going to prioritize, because as you say, you could send one person down to solo it, but if you send too many, Misfits have the option to rush the Baron and try to take something away from you.
That's pretty great coverage here as well. Kind of in their lane, spotting potential. Twitch is ambushing. Alfari dashes forward. That's a bit keen, but back out to the safety of his team for now. As TSM done a lot of work to get vision into this red side jungle and kind of patiently wait with 2 control wards, baiting Misfits towards the Baron.
And if you're Alfari in a game like this, you have a pretty hard time being engaged on by anyone other than Biofrost. You've got the outplay on the Sejuani, but Biofrost is your weakness coming straight on top of you. He needs to be careful in certain moments, but at other times, he can be as aggressive as he likes.
Ooh, all hits on a max flow. Damage is there.
Double's opening up.
Moving in. That is a lot of damage. Bjergsen unstoppable as he does go down to the Yap, but a huge Nara from Haunter continuing the play. Maybe a wipe here for TSM as Alfari. The next to get stunned up, and Hansama and PoE still alive. Good flash out of the rock there from the Zyra as PoE Realm Warps out of the way. Haunter wants a little more rock. Not going to connect, but TSM still win the fight.
And TSM, they have Warmogs on Sejuani. You can go over towards the Baron with just 2 members alive. We'll see if they want to risk it. I think the safer call would just be secure your third Infernal, but TSM looks like they want to go for blood.
They could very easily look towards killing Power of Evil just by sending Svenskeren over the wall and disengaging the Baron. This is a risky call. If they still commit to this, they have a lot of damage though.
Remember, Flash is available for Haunter and Sven. No Flash on either of the Misfits players. They could look to turn with Mega Gnar.
Haunter almost Mega, but he doesn't have ulti. So much damage being dealt. He barely transforms in time. PoE is looked to fall. Haunter with the rock finds him, but PoE almost just takes him down. Sven a little too low, but Haunter able to take him down. Double it. Collects Hansama on the right of the fight. They take it all.
Misfits do stop the Baron at least, but they lose 2 more members and long death timers there on them. 45 seconds on them each. So TSM could reset, go straight for the Baron or the third Infernal. A lot of options for them in the game, slipping more and more away from Misfits.
Easiest options recall straight back into the Baron pit as well. There's no mid lane and no AD carry, and so the damage is sorely lacking from the Misfits roster. This makes sense. Haunter is even teleported in. They definitely want the Baron.
Looks like it's time to trade though for Misfits. Maxlaw in onto the Infernal. Haunter TP towards the Baron pit to try and take it, so it looks like Misfits will not be contesting.
It's a decisive call for Misfits, but it's a tough one to make against this late game scaling comp when you feel the game is slipping away. To give them another Baron could be what TSM needs to secure this game.
Well, Misfits do secure the Dragon, but TSM gets the bigger fish, taking down the Baron. So watch this fight again.
And it's just all set up through the Baron baiting, through the vision control, around that area. Nothing that Misfits can see. They're able to set up the fight, and despite a great wind wall actually blocking a lot of the damage out of Double Lift, the damage is already done, and you can see Alfari getting locked down as he dashes.
That's the thing, despite a million good things that also happened for Misfits, the fact that Ignar hooked Bjergsen into a Yasuo combo immediately kills him. It's nice, but it wasn't nice enough, as we get to see once again the hold on the Baron. Note that Svenskeren also helps keep Power of Evil alive, getting him out of the wallet, but everyone does die in the end here. Good from Misfits, they had to do this, but better from TSM because they know they get the kills, they can reset.
Especially smart play around the fact that the summoner spells were down. They knew PoE had no flash, Hansama had just expended his, and their top laner and jungle had flash for TSM, so they can go for that play, and now they're looking to crack the inhibitor turrets here.
These are the final steps perhaps for TSM as they look to push through with a win here versus Misfits and keep their tournament alive.
Bot lane is also pushing for TSM, so they have full side lane control. They are looking to pressure both sides at once, and if Misfits steps 1 foot out of line, they could look for the engage, but going for dives can turn very badly. We saw this in earlier groups, massive leads thrown away from poor dive.
Certainly don't want to mess it up at this point, but TSM do need to break this phase. Good miasma keeps the rest of Misfits out of the way, but damage from Hansama chunking the tank.
It is very hard to actually siege against the composition that Misfits have. The threat of a Blitzcrank hook, the wind wall from Yasuo as well being able to prevent damage to the turret. Ryze still has very good wave clear and backline threat on ranged minions, but now the hook's down, they can push in.
Looks like again, turret is going to crack and they'll just stun Maxo in the front line. TSM going for broke, into the back of a combo, there to get the front line down, and Dublin letting rip on the twitch. Hansama running away, but Ignar maybe not so lucky as Haunter leaps after him still. 2 dead on the side of Misfits.
TSM will get the inhibitor here, and there's minions in the bot lane. They can rotate around. They actually are looking like they want to try to end the game here, though. Haunter does almost have Mega Gnar. They'll think better of it and go to bot to secure a second inhib.
Yeah, they'll take the safe option. They'll go down here. The minions they prepared earlier, it should be 2 inhibitors, and I would imagine calling it a day after this. But this wave is big enough that if they want to keep pushing, they definitely can.
I mean, there's 30 seconds on the Yasuo. They will go for the end here. Let's see if they can pull it off.
Redemption in, Haunter looking for the wallop, forcing the Featherstorm out of Hansama. Bjergsen getting low from Power of Evil, but still not taking enough damage. Bjergsen popping the Seraph Shield. TSM need to stay safe. Power of Evil giving chase. Hansama still threatening.
Misfits pushing them back. They're given a stay of execution here, but they want to chase. They know they need more. They can't go through with that, though, as Alfari was not yet up, and TSM will get out.
Power of Evil is having a very good game on Summoner's Rift right now, holding the fort at the very least. We get to see once again how all of this does kick off. You mentioned the minions bottom, the allocation of resources from Misfits was poor. TSM take that chance. Firefrost gets 4 charms off as well while he's dashing through, and Doublelift just dismantles them.
And as soon as that Blitzcrank hook is down, Ignar's contribution to a team fight is so incredibly low, so it gives them the confidence to go forward. Doublelift was able to find a nice position along the top side of the map, get behind the Yasuo wind wall, and really open up with that Twitch. And he's now on 6 items as Twitch. Late game has arrived. He has the GA. So even if you hook Doublelift now, you don't necessarily just free win a team fight. It pretty much is just about Bjergsen.
Massive goal lead for TSM. It was 10,000 at one point, but it's not quite there at this stage. Still, TSM, after a chain of early stumbles over and over, they pick themselves up right out of the dirt and find their way back into this game. It is not over, but TSM know there is maybe 1 step left.
Exactly. TSM has to play it patiently for Misfits. They need to force something. They need a miracle play. Alfari needs a 5-man ult or the miracle hook or something to get them back into this game, and we'll see if they can find it.
Expectations are towards the hook above all else as well, but with 2 inhibitors down, you need more than just that miracle hook, really. You need 5 people there. That requires side wave control. If you don't have that, then you can't afford to throw a hook in the first place. And TSM can smartly play around exactly that fact, deny any kind of miracles from happening, just play good League of Legends.
And that's why TSM is grouping up as 5. Side waves pushing in. They're not going to give that opening because really at this point it's dependent upon a TSM mistake.
Hansama just walked onto Cassiopeia's W and lost all of his health, so they're just going to take the inhibitor.
Turret going down, and looks like there's going to be 3 inhibs to Misfits. Only 2 Nexus turrets left. Ooh, 1, make it that. 1 Nexus turret to defend, and of course the base structure. TSM just biding their time, waiting maybe for Elder Dragon, but can wait for supers as well. Misfits, this is your last stand.
Time is up for the Misfits roster. If you don't fight now, it may be never. They need the opportunity to engage. They need that moment.
All right, back in there for Firefrost, finds the carry. Hansama a little over Bjergsen, defending there as the rest of Doublelift with a great flank to get the damage down. That's 2 already. Now from Haunter, gets him in there. Hansama knocked him on the other end as Doublelift grabs a double kill. Out there for Power of Evil, but that's 4 dead. TSM, they will keep their hopes alive here at World and take down Misfits.
What a comeback there from TSM after an incredible early game from Misfits. You can see the sigh of relief for Doublelift there, representing NA fans everywhere.
A 5k goal deficit, they come back and get a victory against a very good snowballing team. And TSM take down the one team they need to beat to get into the quarterfinals.
I mean, they still are going to have to either beat Flash Wolves and hope that Misfits lose. There still could be a 3-way tie. If they beat Flash Wolves and Misfits actually beats WE, you're forced into tiebreakers there. So everything is still up in the air. TSM are not through just yet, but they needed this win to keep their hopes alive, to have a chance. And for Misfits, you know, this was an aggressive draft. This was a very risky draft. They almost pulled it off. Not quite, but they too are still alive and can get out of this group.
And again, Doublelift's going to have to ready those likely trembling hands. We saw on day one when they played Flash Wolves just how nervous he was. Not a great game from Doublelift, but what a great story it is for his once rookie support to be just putting in an incredible amount of legwork to get TSM over the line.
Yeah, Biofrost had some incredible engages. I also do think Haunter really does deserve a lot of credit. He's the one who's counterpicked. He's deathless in this game. He's involved in a lot of what TSM did. You know, 15 kill participation, stays even with the Yasuo all game long. And to me, it really just felt like the Misfits never got the payoff from the Yasuo.
Well, for more on how TSM took down Misfits Gaming, let's check back in with the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Pastry. An absolutely necessary and massive comeback victory out of TSM to keep their hopes at the knockout stages alive and getting revenge, more importantly, over Misfits for the loss that was handed to them in week 1. Both of them now tied at 3-2. And again, thrown a curveball in champion select, so still able to adapt to some degree.
And this game would be exactly what you'd expect to see out of these two teams had it been week 1, the first time they encountered Misfits coming out with an early game strategy, TSM falling behind early but finding a way through superior team fighting in the mid and late game. And sure, NA was taking a toll when we saw that scoreboard of 3-21 in week 2. 4-21 now, but that was a very solid comeback game from TSM. They understood what they needed to do, and they got back to it.
And I have to say, there were actually 2 curveballs in this because, yes, you know, the bottom lane, picking the Blitzcrank and trying to snowball off bottom lane is kind of the one that you expected, but also the additional Yasuo counterpick on top side. That is the curveball, I think, that actually didn't find much value in this game. They weren't really able to bully Haunter ever. Haunter actually played the lane really well and then was able to join the team fights and be a bigger impact in these team fights than the Yasuo ended up being later on. Yes, you can talk about the pros of win wall and trying to incorporate these other things in a snowballing strategy. But man, you have to give credit to Misfits for their bottom lane focus because that was the one that hit home.
Let's talk about this early game lead created by the Misfits here, Miffy.
I want to give credit to Misfits, but at the same time, I want to blame TSM a little bit, especially Svenskern. I think he was very greedy in his pathing early game. He should have gone from blue straight to his own red and secured the bot side of the map for their team. And I think that basically cost them a lot after the TSM bot lane got level 2 all in by Blitzcrank, which is pretty normal. They basically walked into their jungle, took their red buff, and then just zoned them off their tower, which was pretty... It hurts to watch, you know, as a bot lane player. Yeah. And credit to Misfits. They had a very good second buff control. They basically took red and blue. So yeah, everything was going very well for Misfits, but I think they should have been more patient with their Herald. They didn't get enough out of Herald. They got tempo, but they didn't really get the mid tower, and then when they collapsed in the mid tower again, TSM was ready, and then yeah, everything blew.
But coming into this tournament, there was some criticism thrown towards the Misfits to some degree in their early games and ability to create leads, and then of course being able to play from behind. So could you even expect this? I mean, once again, TSM had to be the first team to play WE today and go up against that unknown strategy, and then here again against the Misfits, some things that to some degree I don't believe you could predict.
I definitely don't think you could predict them, but you kind of see the way that things are trending versus TSM and how teams are preparing for TSM. TSM does seem to be one of the teams that plays so much more standard that a lot of teams are coming in with specialized strategies prepared for them.
Yeah, and the strategy obviously has maybe 10, 15 minutes of preparation for the Misfits, especially burning Flash mid lane with Blitzcrank for the Cassiopeia, ensuring your mid lane to go well. You invade the bot side, you zone, then you lane swap, you get your Herald, you do all these steps, but then when it comes to taking those tier 2 towers, when you start incorporating elements that you can't prepare for every single time, that's when it starts falling apart for them.
It just becomes really hard when you don't have the mid lane tower. That mid lane tower makes you go freely into the enemy jungle and control the vision, maybe bait Baron, make the Blitzcrank pick even more useful. But once they didn't get that mid lane tower, that's when it all went.
TSM was super ready for it because they set 5-man middle when the Herald came out.
Well, there you go. He's got it for me. He's introing the replay. 18 minutes in, team fight in the mid lane. TSM striking back for the comeback, brought to you by Acer Predator.
And this is the moment that's going to break open the game, right? There's your mid turret that's about to go down, but this is the team fight TSM needed to win, and they do. Svenskeren gets the ult to start it off. Bjergsen gets in there with a huge flash. look at Hansama. He didn't even get to use his flash, his heal, his ultimate on the Xayah. Like, they just got destroyed so quickly there. Another amount of praise needs to be given to Biofrost because the risky pick of the Rakan and Twitch early on, like that's another losing lane, and their losing dual lanes have been what's targeted and cost them early. The Rakan, the big moment to shine is when you get the engages for the team fights, and he got the backline.
Huge props to Biofrost, best Rakan I've ever played against, honestly. And it was just really perfect. He hit with that ult. Like the ult of Svenskeren was more of a distraction. It wasn't even like a very good ult, but Misfits tried to help.
But he hit one.
Yeah, but Misfits had tried to like help Ignore.
They all kind of collapsed onto the Blitzcrank, and that's set up.
Exactly. And then, straight, like no hesitation on both carries.
I mean, it seems, again, team fighting is the one thing we keep pointing at for TSM as a strength. Not only navigating the team fights well once they're in them, but choosing the right team fights.
Yeah. Definitely.
That, as well as they continue to stick with this strategy, and here they showed why they're sticking with this strategy, right? People have been criticizing their early game and like, why don't you just go more early game now? Well, this is the reason. You win that one team fight. They weren't even in gold after that. But they had such scaling in their team fight, in their composition. I know you're not sold.
To the strategy.
I know you're not sold, but that's why they're sticking to it, right? Because of the late game power and the scaling of it.
Sure, you stick to it, but then I also feel like a big part of it was the Misfits messing up the snowballing properly of it, especially when they had pressure in mid, pressure in bot side. They're invading the red side jungle. We saw how Sven responded to it, basically sticking around, dying there, where Maxlor overcommits to Cassiopeia, dies in that moment, and then the snowball's already over. This is the composition that cannot afford to give anything to TSM. Otherwise, they'll just take the whole game.
Yeah, once you lose your tempo with a Blitzcrank especially, I've been there, and it's just really tough because you can't find the picks anymore. They know where you are constantly, and especially when they have a tank like Sejuani who also has her passive, it's just so much harder. And here we can see, like after the mid lane fight, TSM just farms it up on equal tempo, gets their item spikes, and instantly goes for a fight with perfect items, and there's nothing Misfits could do.
Yeah, this is one of the examples of the team fights after the one that broke open the game. They got enough gold for those 2 item spikes that Mithy's talking about here, and they were just like, we will almost take any fight at this point. So Svenskeren, he has someone face check him, he's like, good, 3 people, let's fight now.
You know, it didn't take them, it was instant.
Yep.
I could see the fight was about to start as Hunter was basing for his second item. They didn't even take them like 3 seconds before they got the items, and they instantly forced a fight, and yeah.
Can confirm. I heard Ayed's Runen and a Black Cleaver completed. Get ready for a fight. TSM's about to take it. That's what they did. They get the Baron, and then again, TSM in the late game with control. They do know how to play. The worry is, can they get to that late game still? And they still have another game to play against the Flash Wolves. Let's remember that this is the first team to blow an open early lead against TSM.
But it looks awesome for TSM from now on, because the Flash Wolves really have been struggling all tournament long, and then WE, with what they showed today, looks like they'll be a clear favorite to take down Misfits, and if everything goes according to plan, TSM should get by with a 2nd seed.
Flash Wolves has something to prove.
They do have something to prove, but also in reference to the WE Misfits game, wouldn't it be fun to see 2 really early game compositions like that go at each other and actually clash on the Rift?
Definitely true. I mean, you talk about the Flash Wolves versus TSM game, that one has importance, but if Misfits are able to beat Team WE, then we get more tiebreakers and there's going to be more chaos.
Again, yeah, there's still plenty of possibilities left available to us. As you just saw, TSM took a crucial victory against Misfits Gaming. We'll see what they can do against the Flash Wolves when we return.
Bifrost needs to move back in and try and save. That's over the shield, but he gets hooked up by Ignar. Power of Evil still chasing in, and Bifrost not going to make it.
Twitch is useless. Flash on him. We win. Nice.
Java no flash. Xayah, I kill Rise as well.
Yasuo.
I kill Blitz.
Nice, keep going.
Blitz.
Oh no, double if caught.